Let's talk about St. Valentine's Day Massacre in Memphis. This is where we're going to be debuting the former Giant from WCW here in the WWF as Paul White. He's going to burst through the ring canvas when Stone Cold is wrestling Vince McMahon and what used to be the big blue cage. Now it's been painted black. But before we got to that main event, you're going to be teaming up with Owen Hart to retain your tag titles over D'Lo and Mark Henry. 9.5 minutes. Meltzer would say that Henry's working with a bad knee, so he's pretty limited. And he said it should have been better because of that, because D'Lo was a good worker and had to work 90% of the match, but for whatever reason, it just didn't click. And man, Meltzer is not always complimentary of old Double J. Quote, Jarrett wasn't even the slightest bit over in Memphis, where he spent years as a main eventer. No heat. And considering 3 of the 4 guys are solid workers, it never gained momentum. Fans didn't care about the wrestling because the focus was on Ivory and Deborah. The finish saw the women argue, and Hart hit Henry in the knee, breaking the guitar, and Jarrett got the submission with the figure 4, presumably to set up an injury angle and give Henry a few weeks off. The women went at it afterwards, with Ivory ripping the back of Deborah's blazer. I guess we should just time out here because I want to know, like, at this point, were you growing tired, or did it ever bother you that it felt like at times the fans, by and large, we've made this puppies thing so big that we got a bunch of guys in the audience who are more interested in maybe whether or not they can see a piece of the female human anatomy more so than paying attention to the wrestling in the ring. Did that ever bother or frustrate you and Owen, or did you just get it's part of the gig, we're making people laugh and smile and sending them home happy? Who cares?
Well, it was very obvious that that's what the chairman wanted. That
Yes.
yeah, that was his mindset on that part of the entertainment. And I had conversations with Lanza or whoever the agent may be, in that, hey, we're going to have to. And I was a heel and had been a heel on TV, so the mindset of going into this, and I was surprised we actually had this much time because Mark was not well. He was banged up. And so we knew all of that, but adding a baby face, here's where I guess you could say the psychology of it all. When you don't have a female to counter Deborah, then you can work the match around me, Owen, and her, that no, we're not going to let her show the puppies, but then there's not going to be anything else to the story and maybe till the finish. When you throw in, okay, now they've got a baby face on that side that's in the back, it's going to come out, or she came out, or however it may be, it kind of, the people, it's almost like they're waiting on the finish. It's the old adage in the Dallas Sportatorium, when one of the Von Erichs would be wrestling and 3 heels would jump on one of them, the entire arena quit watching whatever Von Erich was getting beat up, and they looked up the babyface out because they knew one of the brothers was coming to save him. It's like they called the finish. That was a set of circumstances that we discussed multiple times, knowing they know something's coming with the Deborah in the finish somehow, some way. So if we can give a couple of false finishes, it will keep them engaged. When you have Henry hurt, pay-per-view, it's supposed for the tag titles, 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag.
Well, the next night on Raw from Birmingham, it's going to be a tag team match. You're going to tag with Deborah to take on D'Lo and Ivory. You go to a no contest. Ivory's going to make the save out of the figure 4. Deborah and Ivory soon enter the ring. They start fighting. That goes to a no contest. And then Deborah knocks out Ivory with the guitar. Deborah swinging the guitar. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. The thing that was just such a fish out of water, Deborah, and to her defense, she didn't have a clue how to wrestle and would openly tell that. Ivory could go.
Yes.
So that was kind of, hey, Vince, as in Russo. Hey, Russo, I know this might look good on paper. It's going to be the shits in execution. She doesn't wrestle. Oh, no, it's okay. We'll do a mixed tag. Well, they don't want to see Ivory just catfight. Anyway, it was, I got it. They wanted to do ratings. They wanted to do, how long did that tag match go? 1 minute, 2 minutes? If
2
that.
minutes and 20 seconds.
That's what I'm saying.
And
No
on
one,
heat, by the way, we'd see Al Snow and D'Lo. They go 159. And
Yeah.
during this match, Deborah comes to ringside, distracts the ref, and then you and Owen run in and attack D'Lo. So Al Snow gets the win. You're continuing the D'Lo story.
So on that, I remember having these type conversations in that, oh man, bro, just give him the finish. And I'd say, I understand that completely, but a finish can only be a finish if you kind of have an opening and a high spot. You have to tell a story to get to the finish. So there is no finish. Let's go do one big continuous high spot. And if you look at it through that lens, that was so many of the matches through the Attitude Era. They were all, it was just high spot after high spot after high spot. There was, there were DQs and even some 1-2-3s, but they were never really finishes. They were just high spots as far as each segment went, which can be frustrating as a viewer.
Raw from Chattanooga on February 22nd is a handicap match. It's you and Owen against D'Lo, because D'Lo's saying, you took out Ivory, you took out Mark Henry, I'm going to go it alone. PMS comes to the ring while Deborah has the ref distracted. Jackie's going to climb up on the top rope, drop kick D'Lo into Owen, who hit D'Lo with the enziguri and scores the pin. And then Stephanie McMahon, believe it or not, would soon be introduced as a on-air character. So this is really the first time we've seen Stephanie.
Yep.
We know that Shane has become a bigger part of the program, but now we're going to make it a family affair. A very young Stephanie will start appearing on TV. What was your relationship like, if any, with Stephanie in early 99? And what did you think of her early television appearances? We know eventually she became one of the hotter heels in wrestling, but what did you think about her at first?
I mean, it was, like a better word, the boss's daughter. And I could relate to a boss's kid being a part of the promotion. I always related to Shane and Stephanie that way. One of those footnotes that you'd like to sometimes say, the Forrest Gump of wrestling. Out of all the talent through all the years, who is Stephanie McMahon's first win on TV? You're looking at him. So, I mean, I always had a very good relationship with Stephanie. And, at this stage, her promo skills weren't what they developed, but she's always had natural charisma. And I'm not just saying on camera, backstage as well. She's very likable, but very well spoken, and always has been since the day I met her.
JR is going to return from a Bell's palsy break, and they bring him back as a heel with Dr. Death. Just 1 week after we tried dressing Dr. Death up in some sort of silly Japanese mask. Boy, what a talented performer. Just wasn't in the cards for Dr. Death in this era of the WWF. What was in the cards, though, is you and Owen teaming up a lot to take on Triple H and X-Pac in a guitar on a pole match, and then just some regular straight up tag matches. When you're working a house show like that, do you like the guitar on a pole stip because it's different and you can have some fun with it, or do you just prefer a regular tag?
Either way, tag guitar on the poles, you got to have 4 good workers, and we did, because you can really let the air out of the match. If one of the 4 guys is standing in the corner or close to that guitar, you go, well, just go up there and get the damn pole. So you just got to be cognizant of that. But again, we could make it work, and they wanted to put things on live events that were a little different. And they knew that, I say they, JR and company obviously knew that, okay, Jarrett and Owen will make sure that this step match is executed well. Cause to me, that's, we didn't always do it, but that's one of the kind of a live event killer. If you have a step match and either they don't even follow through or they have just an abysmal step, you'd be better off to go with the straight match. But we made it entertaining.